Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore figure to start the season as the 1, 2, and 3, whatever order you feel like, receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs. But who's going to be that fourth guy? Many have pegged Rashee Rice, who was the second-round draft pick of Kansas City, to be that fourth guy. But I'm here to tell you that there's another one who's really going to be pushing for that entire opportunity as the number 4 receiver. His name is Richie James, free agent from the New York Giants, previously from the San Francisco 49ers. And we're going to talk today about Richie James, getting into a little bit of his tape and how he can actually push for more playing time this season as it goes along. It actually could even be as impactful as week 1, not just as a returner, but an actual wide receiver. We've got, some clips here of Patrick Mahomes throwing to MVS. We've got another one back here of him throwing to Sky Moore. We all love seeing these clips out of training camp. I'm excited to see, OTAs. I'm excited to see what these guys are going to end up doing at training camp along with Richie James, who, we all expected to kind of have an interesting role going forward when he was signed. But coming out of the Giants offense, he really was utilized more of a slot player, and he was playing roughly 85% of his snaps inside the slot. And you love to see on third down, he's a reliable player. He doesn't get a first down here, but the Giants ended up going for this fourth down. And we're going to see you have the corner who's playing this off coverage, but he's shaded to the inside slightly. So we have Richie James who's going to kind of work a little bit to the inside to get in front of this corner behind this linebacker, but he's also going to shade up at the top of his route, give a little bit of a hesitation, and then cut over the middle of the field to get open. You like to see right there, kind of puts that the safety slash corner in a bind, slot corner, whoever ends up playing in a bind to figure out which way he's going to go. And that's what we know the Chiefs like to see a lot of as well, especially with how much space that Andy Reid works in this offense and using defense's weaknesses against them. Richie James is a guy who is a very safe bet on third down. He had one of the best completion percentages over expectation in the NFL. A large amount due to the fact that he had a smaller number of targets. But funny enough, he had 34 first downs, which was tied for first on the New York Giants last season, and he had a good 6-7 game stretch where he wasn't playing as much as anybody else, and he would have been fourth in Kansas City in first down catches last year had he been on the team. So very interesting to see that he was doing that in New York, but he can also do that in Kansas City, things that really the Chiefs value and that they really wanted to do. Watch how he's going to come back here and attack the football. So because he understands that corner is really close to him. He's inside that hip pocket, as we like to say. He's going to come back, attack the ball in the air with his hands, and make sure that he allows the Giants to then go for that fourth down and then actually get it. So very smart player, understands where the sticks are, understands the situation really well. He's had some drop troubles in the past, but I think that last year he was much better at controlling those drops and having a good understanding of really attacking the football in the air. Multiple catches we're going to see here where he's got the wherewithal to go up and get that football with both hands instead of just waiting for it to come to his body. So I do that all the time. My apologies. Again, we're going to see him working in the slot, and does, like I said, predominantly played in the slot last year, 85% of the snaps. And you're going to see he can be a big part of the quick game offense. The Chiefs like to use RPOs. They still mix them in from time to time, and they like that quick game to take a little bit away from the run game to also use it as an extension of the run game. So understanding that you're going to get the ball quickly, head turns to the inside, you win inside quickly in between that slot corner and another linebacker once again that we saw. Nice little throw there from Daniel Jones to get it inside up the field for a nice first down conversion. They do a lot on figuring things out on third down. Like I said, I mentioned that he was a kind of a third down merchant, I like to say, but this was another one of those plays that the Chiefs will run. They'll run out of this bunch formation. They'll run some move, this motion on third and short to get somebody open, but you see Richie James kind of hesitation release to the flat, catches that football. He's out in front of him. He almost falls down, but he's able to recover and get enough of his feet going underneath him to be able to get that first down. Really good effort and heads-up play by Richie James to get that first down, knowing that ball's got to come out quickly. It kind of snuck up on him a little bit there, but that's once again showing you that he's got better hands than I think that he's had most of his career. And in San Francisco, he actually, funny enough, played the most of his snaps on the outside, not in the slot in San Francisco. So that also keys you in a little bit to the fact that he might be a little bit more than just a slot player, especially for a team like Kansas City who loves to move their players around. And Andy Reid likes to have the X, Y, Z, or the zebras. That the slot is the zebra that they call it in Kansas City. But they do a lot of creative things in San Francisco. We know that the usage of space is always at a maximum, and the Chiefs can use a player like Richie James, who he's not a burner, but he is a sub 4-5 player. You get him into space, and he can really do some things after the catch. He wasn't asked to do a lot of that in New York last year, mostly because they needed a guy to be trustworthy to move those chains, and that's what Richie James became. But he can do both of those things. He can be a move player in Kansas City. He can be a guy that you actually go to in the screen game. He can be a third down player, a third down option as well. You might even see him playing a lot more on just third downs, because not only will that kind of confuse the defense a little bit, but it'll also give you a little bit of a head up. You can get him a little bit of attention because people know that he was a good third down player last year, and you might be able to get some defensive attention his way and open up other players like Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, even Rashee Rice or MVS. So I'm really excited about the prospects that he has in Kansas City, because I do think that he is a good space player. He's not going to make a ton of guys miss, but his best attribute after the catch is changing those angles. The acceleration from the catch point all the way through his getting to his top speed is very good, and we see that happen quite a bit in New York as well, being able to use that speed. I just want to point out that yes, this is backup defense, backup quarterback for the Giants, and it's a static defense. And what static defense is when you don't see any movement pre or post snap in terms of changing what the quarterback sees. So the Eagles come out here in this very static defense, this very static zone where no one's really going to move. They're going to play in their exact coverages there, and they're just going to kind of sit in their zones. But Richie James is going to do a good job here coming up the field, releasing to the outside. Again, moving this corner with him, you release to the outside, and then you come underneath. You're creating all of that space, understanding that he can get to that point, and then there's that hands again. I'm showing you these plays because I do think that he can really be a guy that attacks the football, not just in the air, but a reliable option in some of these gotta-have-it situations. The things that the Chiefs did miss, are going to miss going forward with Juju Smith-Schuster, who was second on the team in first downs converted last year, like 40 behind Travis Kelce, but still, nice extension down there, going vertical, getting to the outside a little bit, moving that corner to the outside, coming underneath, and then getting vertical, catching that ball away from his body, taking a hit, and holding onto the football. They did get flagged for, hit to the helmet or defenseless receiver. I don't remember which one it was, but either way, he does a good job there attacking that static zone. You see him on the right-hand side in the slot once again, and this is one of those other things that I like to see against man coverage. You're seeing him play a little bit to the inside, again, moving that slot corner off of his spot, and then breaking to the out on that first down marker. These are all things the Chiefs do well. Timing routes. Timing. So this is what I mean by these. He's like a first down, third down merchant. So you have an outside leveraged corner here. How are you going to get to the outside when that's the route you're running? You're going to move him. You're going to make him think you're going to either go upfield or you're going to come over the middle of the field at some way, shape, or form to get him off of his spot. It's a very smart thing, especially because you know the timing has to be spot on. When you have a quarterback who doesn't necessarily have a cannon, in Daniel Jones, you have to make sure the timing's out because he has to throw that ball a hair earlier than he probably wants to be able to get that ball in the window. So really nice job here from Richie James to, again, extend to the outside, level up a little bit, and then get going. I will say that he does have some inconsistencies in his route movements at the top of his route. This would have been nice to just go all the way out. He probably would have created a bit more separation if he could have stemmed to the inside and broken right out from it. But you're going to see him, he's going to go inside, then kind of straighten out, and then get to the out. So it does take a little bit more time for him to do that at the top of his routes, and some of the breaks in and out of his cuts, they do take a little bit longer than you'd like to see for a guy who's, a bit faster and a little bit quicker than a lot of players, especially at 5'9", but he's a very good player against man coverage, using those inside, outside releases and manipulating corners. through his route. I think that's really what he does best, being able to attack man, attack zone in different ways. And I'm showing you these clips where he's attacking the ball away from his body. These are really a lot of impressive catches for a guy who, for the most of his career in San Francisco, was kind of a drop guy. He dropped the ball a lot. And you're seeing here that he has some really nice ability to catch that football away from his body. So all of those things are really bonuses to have for a 5'9" depth player, maybe a return player in Kansas City. This is one of the things we see a lot in Kansas City as well. These stack formations, whether it's he's on the line or off the line, you're going to typically see him off the line to get that free release. He doesn't deal with contact the best in, against press man coverage. That's more of a Sky Moore thing. He's excellent at defending against press man coverage. He can get off those releases, are very good. Richie needs a little bit more space to work. You're going to see him release to the outside again, and this is what I want to see more consistently. But you kind of see the hitch in the giddy-up, though. You see that hitch. He's getting to the outside, and then he does take another step forward right before he gets to the inside. He takes that little hitch step, which I want to get rid of. I'd like to get rid of in his game. But over the middle of the field, he does a good job, again, creating separation, manipulating those cornerbacks, and getting open in space. That's exactly what the Chiefs want, and that's why he's in Kansas City now, especially coming over from the Giants, who had Mike Kafka. I would imagine they talked to him and asked him about Richie James and bringing him on for not just a return role, but a guy who can play in the slot, not just competently, but above competence level. And here we're going to see him creating against man coverage once again. This is an area where the Chiefs receivers historically have struggled outside of your top guys. And when you have the ability to play through a couple different man coverage aspects, he's, like I said, working through contact around. It's not square up contact. So I like seeing him work around and get to his route anyway, knowing that the Lions defense, even though they're not the best defense in the world, they're going to be more physical. They're going to play that way. And he's still able to get on the outside of his route, make that corner, put him into a more of a trail position, a trail technique. And now he's the one dictating where that corner is going to go. The corner's not dictating where he's going to go. That's where you see receivers put corners in that trail technique. Trail meaning they are underneath the routes, so kind of forcing them to be in there and guessing where the receiver's going to go. And once again, coming back to that football with a guy draped all over him, he's able to maintain that catch and get another first down. So he's got a lot of different tools in his tool bag for a smaller wide receiver, and I love that about him. I'm not just a third down, second down to a first down guy. He can do it all from every aspect from the slot, and I do think you're going to see him play in some stacks in Kansas City, and that's going to be a pretty big boost for him, because using that space and getting open over the middle of the field when you have attention on Kadarius Toney, Travis Kelce, even Sky Moore to an extent, you can use some of these smaller receivers and really kind of pepper the middle of the field and get the ball out quickly, which we know the Chiefs wanted to do last year, and that makes them so difficult to defend each and every time they take the field. So these scheme touchdowns that we're seeing, again, this stack formation on the right-hand side, where this is something that the Chiefs like to do with Travis Kelce too, where you're going to have most of these receivers run into the end zone, but they're just going to run a drag route underneath, this time with Richie James, and everyone just gets a little bit confused, and the speed he has across the middle of the field is too much for the defense to get to. So I really like this schemed aspect that he can play into as well. We saw the play from San Francisco earlier, and now this one here is a scheme touchdown directly for Richie James. And if you think back to the Super Bowl, the Eagles tried to do the exact same kind of play right before the half with Kenneth Gainwell, and we saw Trent McDuffie have that speed to be able to close on him and make them kick a field goal. One of the reasons the Chiefs were able to win that game is because of that. The play recognition. The Lions don't recognize that play here. Richie James scores really easily on that drag route coming across the middle of the field, and everyone's like, oh crap, there he goes. He's a little bit quicker than you really give him credit for, and the speed after the catch is what I like the most about him. I do think he can transition well, use that acceleration, get an open space, and just be a guy who consistently churns out 6, 7, 8, 9 yards a catch, and that's, first downs every other catch, and I love seeing that. He's an underrated ball tracker as well. He's going to play, he's down here in the slot. Once again, most of the time you're going to see him when I'm playing him up here, it's in the slot, especially from last year against the Vikings. He's going to run a wheel route up the right-hand sideline. The defense gets a little bit confused and sidetracked, and he does a good job there tracking the ball over his head against the sideline, knowing that he's got some space to work with there. But you see right here, he's going to accelerate through. This was all schemed up for him. because it does a nice job of seeing that over his head and adjusting to the ball in the air, just kind of letting it drop into that bucket, getting 2 feet in bounds. That's all that matters. You're not going to see him be a guy who's used downfield a ton, but if you get him open, he has definitely got the ability to adjust to the football and make that catch over his shoulder, which I love to see from a smaller guy. Here he is on the outside, number 13. He's right up at the top of your screen. He wore a different number in San Francisco, so sometimes I lose track of him. But there he goes against a little bit of a bump and run from the Green Bay defense into the middle of the field in that intermediate spot. And here he moves after the catch. I mean, he does have some underrated ability after the catch. So I really like watching him from San Francisco into New York and seeing the different styles and the different ways he was utilized, because that can all come to the forefront in Kansas City, in a place where they like to attack the sticks on third downs, but they also love to get their players in space and their electric players in space and attack the ball and all sides of the field and all areas of the field. So you might be able to see a little bit of both of the Richie Jameses that we're seeing in San Francisco here, where he's just like identifying big amounts of space over the middle of the field and then attacking it, and also some of the third down stuff that he did in New York, catching 35 first downs, a lot of them on third downs, and converting, being a safe player to go to. So there's a lot of room for Richie James to not only be an impactful player on special teams for Kansas City, but be that fourth wide receiver. He's going to know a lot of the terminology, a lot of the playbook already coming from the New York Giants last year with Mike Kafka and Brian Daboll, who both worked with Andy Reid in the past. So he's got a leg up on a Rashee Rice, who's going to have a lot of work to do to get the playbook down underneath him, coming from SMU last year. They don't have a hugely, exfoliating playbook. They don't have a ton of plays that they run in college out there at SMU. So he's definitely got some work to do. And in terms of ability, they're both like 4'4" guys. And I do think that even though he's smaller and more of a slot guy, Richie James is going to have a spot not just on this roster, but he's going to be on the field more than I think people expect. And I love what he brings in the getting those first downs, continuously churning out first downs, extending those drives, play by play by play. I love watching him play. So he's going to be at home in Kansas City and really do a good job doing everything that Andy Reid wants him to do and being a pretty productive player on the field. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really do think that Richie James is not only going to be a return man, but a productive fourth wide receiver, not fourth option, excuse me, that fourth receiver spot, which we know Kansas City loves to continuously churn out their wide receivers, especially if they want to keep Kadarius Toney on a little bit of a snap count early in the season. You might see Richie James take a lot more of those snaps early on, and then as it gets into he's more comfortable, he's more healthy, you might see him take over a little bit more. But again, third down, it doesn't really matter. He can do everything you want him to from a play production standpoint. After the catch, those short intermediate parts of the field in the slot, I think he can play a little bit out on the outside too. So Richie James definitely has the ability to win that wide receiver 4 spot over Rashee Rice and be more impactful in his first season in Kansas City than Rashee Rice, because we don't really know what he's going to be, what he's going to have to adjust to. The playbook that Andy Reid's going to give him, it might be different than Sky Moore. So all in all, I do believe that Richie James has an excellent shot at snabbing that fourth wide receiver spot on the roster and being a productive player on third downs, in the punt return game, in the kick return game, wherever it is for Kansas City. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit the bell, and the sub to the channel. We're trying to grow this Rogue Nation as much as we possibly can, and appreciate all the support you guys consistently give us. Keep looking out for the RGR videos. We're going to have more content for you coming. The season is almost here, one more month until training camp, and we're hoping to be able to get a nice little get together in August. We're going to nail down some dates, hopefully rather soon. So you guys make sure to have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more, and subscribe to RGR Football.